I visited a synagogue to welcome the Sabbath and didn't know what to expect. I'm LT, and this is Backpack Religion. I never visited a synagogue before. Maybe you're the same way. Maybe you never visited a synagogue either, or maybe you're a practicing Jew and you're familiar with synagogues. Either way, join me on my adventure as I visited my first synagogue in America to see what they do to honor the Sabbath. Alright, we made it, so let's head inside. I showed up at the synagogue a couple of hours before the official service to conduct an interview. And the full interview will be available on my podcast, Light the World. And the person I met with was Brian, who is the rabbi of the Reform congregation Oheb Shalom. There are four main streams of Judaism: Reform, Orthodox, Conservative, and Reconstruction. So being a Reform congregation, Oheb Shalom is not nearly as conservative or as traditional per se in comparison to like a Hasidic community in New York.
The second group that was started was the Reform movement, which is where I come from, which is a liberal movement of Judaism. We believe that something happened at Mount Sinai, that there was a revelation. We're interested in not only what does the letter of the law say, but what does the spirit of the law say. The Reform movement also broke down some of the barriers in terms of equality, because our understanding of where the texts come from and how the world changes is somewhat different.
But they still practice the fundamentals that unite all Jews together, which includes honoring the Sabbath, which is the most important of all the holidays, and the one that occurs the most often since it happens every 7 days throughout the year. Established in Genesis, the Sabbath is fundamental to Jewish life and requires practicing Jews to rest from their labor and spend time with their family, friends, and community. And this includes more than just rest from like a 9-to-5 job. This can include multiple tasks, such as chores, cooking, gardening, collecting sticks. I thought I'd throw that last one in because it's actually explicitly mentioned in the Torah. Fun fact. And since this holiday was practiced by God in Genesis, and it's also heavily emphasized within Mosaic law, it is very important to Jews in the way they live. Therefore, they honor it just like they did at Oheb Shalom when I visited. From an outsider's perspective, the service seemed almost kind of random and unpredictable. It looked like a mashup of prayers, often said in Hebrew or in Aramaic, along with scripture, storytelling, congratulations, rituals, chants, and songs, also often said and sung in Hebrew or Aramaic as well. It almost all seemed random to me, but thanks to an interview I conducted afterwards, I realized it was not. Actually, a Friday night service like that before Sabbath is actually well structured by Jewish leadership. I have a few questions with some of the things I saw. Are some of those prayers done every Friday or every day before Sabbath, or do you change it up, or how's that look?
Well, the order of the prayers is set. So all of those prayers have to be done. I might do a different psalm at the beginning, do a different couple of psalms at the beginning. I might use a different English translation. But no, the liturgy itself is relatively set. We have to do certain things in order for it to count as a service.
What would that be based on?
Part of the order goes back about 2,000 years, and the prayer book got larger and the service got longer as time went past, because 2,000 years ago they said, okay, here's the central section.
Okay.
And then they introduced, okay, here's the introductory section, and then there's they added the warm-up stuff, which is to kind of get everybody ready. And so it's in the warm-up stuff that we have the more flexibility to do different bits and pieces. Other parts are set because you have to do them.
With that knowledge, I was interested in the meaning of it all. But with only a few minutes remaining before Brian had to leave for Sabbath himself, I only had a chance to ask a handful of questions. There was people making different motions with their body. What was the significance of that?
The significance of that is the idea of kind of taking the words that we're speaking and embodying them. So like when we talked about standing for the Sabbath bride, so everybody stood up. The same thing is true of when he says we bow before you, God. You would notice that people bowed. And so all of that movement is kind of tied to making physical the prayers that are being said.
The Sabbath officially starts tomorrow, or did it officially start today?
No, it starts today. A Jewish day doesn't go the midnight to midnight. A Jewish day goes from sunset one day to sunset the next day.
Okay. So this was literally ushering in
Correct.
the Sabbath. Okay, awesome. And I also noticed that there were some, I don't know if emblems would be the right term, but items used during the service, such as the bread, such as the cup. What do those things mean, and are they necessary as well?
Those particular items are special for Shabbat, for the Sabbath. If you were to see us do a weekday service, you wouldn't see one. You wouldn't see those used. The wine is used as a symbol of joy. Wine, grape juice, was used as a symbol of joy, and so it's used to sanctify the Sabbath. And the bread is a special bread. It's called a challah, which is a braided egg bread, and it comes from the fact that the idea was in the ancient world eggs were a luxury, right? And so the idea was to say how special is Shabbat. Shabbat is so special that even the bread gets an egg, which was considered a great indulgence to do at the time, and so therefore to make Shabbat special.
Then, after my final questions were answered, my brother and I also headed out to enjoy the Sabbath ourselves. And that was my visit to the synagogue, helping welcome and introduce the Sabbath with my Jewish friends. Thank you for watching, and if you get value from these videos, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It helps this video reach the algorithm and reach more people, especially if you share it and stuff like that. We appreciate all the supporters we have here, and thank you for helping me on my mission to visit everything religion. And let me know in the comments down below any other religious group or building you would like me to visit. That being said, until the next video, farewell.